Hey, it's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. Today, let's answer as many questions as we can in one video. This one comes from David the Amazing. Awesome screen name. We cannot help but answer a question from somebody with a screen name that amazing. David says, "Hey Coach, can you wear Muay Thai shorts in BJJ and MMA? I've never seen those shorts in person and I don't know how they are fitted." Well, I would recommend against it personally. I mean, you can, but I'd recommend against it. Here's why. Here's a typical pair of Muay Thai shorts. All right, these are from Twins, but it's fairly representational across the board of what Muay Thai shorts are. These ones are made out of a polyester fabric that emulates silk. Some of the fancier Muay Thai shorts actually are made out of silk. And you'll notice on the front it's got some embroidered patches sewn on. It's got this cool looking dragon. It's got some Thai writing. Often Muay Thai shorts will have some words on the front, like it'll say Muay Thai in Thai, or it'll have the name of the brand like Fairtex or whatever it is. So it's got all these patches and whatnot on there. They are embroidered. They are rough against the skin if you're grappling in them. And so when you're grappling, you want your clothes to be as unabrasive as possible for the sake of your training partners. You don't want to scratch up their skin, cut up their faces, things like that. Why? Because you want to get as much grappling in as possible. And if you're cutting up and scratching up your training partners, they won't want to roll with you. All right, the second reason I would probably not wear the Muay Thai shorts for grappling or for MMA is that they tend to come off pretty easily. So they do have a drawstring here. You can cinch that up. You can cut this in half and make some knots and tie it really tight. But they are not well fitted for somebody who's grabbing around the hips, which happens a lot. Now in MMA, you're not allowed to grab the shorts, but there's a lot of hip hugging that goes on in grappling. When you go for takedowns, when you go for guard passes, when you do all these things, if you have an ill-fitted set of shorts, then they tend to come off. I saw that once in a fight. It was this amateur fight. These guys were wearing what looked to be like basketball shorts. And this guy's shorts came off mid-fight. And yeah, nobody wants that additional embarrassment in addition to all of the actual combat stress of the fight. So Muay Thai shorts are great, but they're largely meant to be decorative rather than practical. Hence the the fancier, sleeker fabric and the patches and so on. What I would recommend instead, get yourself, here's a pair of Vale Tudo shorts, the stretchy spandex ones, because there's nothing to grab on there. If you're wearing those, there's no way that they will tear, rip, or scratch up your training partners at all. They do have a drawstring, and because it's spandex, it's tight. You might get some funny looks if you're not used to that. There's also MMA board shorts. Here's a pair right there. From the Dream Fighter company, not sponsored by Dream Fighter. I just happen to have a pair of these shorts. I used to wear board shorts all the time for grappling and for MMA, but the reason I don't so much anymore is because I train a lot of new athletes who want to learn how to grapple. And you guys, what do they always do? They grab whatever they can and they try to tear it off. And so I've had a lot of board shorts, some really nice ones, some fairly expensive ones, just get torn to shreds by the new guys. But why would I recommend board shorts over Muay Thai shorts? Well, simply because the waistband is just better fitted. And you'll notice it doesn't have patches. All the decoration is sublimation here. There are some exceptions to this, of course, but there's no abrasive material here. It does have a Velcro opening right there so that you can close it up in a more fitted fashion around the hips so that when there's tugging, pulling, takedown attempts, guard passes involving hip hugging, they don't come off. or if you're attempting to hip escape out. That's another problem if you're wearing the Muay Thai shorts or some other loose fitting short around the waist, is that when you're hip escaping on the ground, the friction will pull your shorts off. One other style of shorts I would draw your attention to, boxing shorts. Here's a pair from Everlast. They got that really thick waistband. They look super cool when you're boxing, but I would also recommend don't wear these when grappling. You'll notice these ones do not even have a drawstring. The Muay Thai shorts do have a drawstring. So again, you can tie those on. It's not optimal. But these ones, yeah, never for grappling, just for boxing. Now, if you're wondering, if you have a pair of shorts and they would be great for grappling, but they don't have the drawstring, you can add your own drawstring to these. Okay? Or if you got a pair of like tights you want to use as grappling tights, same thing, and they don't have a drawstring, you can put one in that. Just poke a couple of holes, get a shoelace. Where is that thing? I got some shoelaces in this drawer right here. Boom. Everything at my fingertips. Okay? And just thread that thing through the waistband until you have yourself a drawstring, and then you can... Our next question comes from the Keyboard Warrior. He says, what is the best grip for grappling or a double underhook? The Gable grip or the S grip or closing your fist and grabbing your forearm? I don't know its name. Okay, I think you're talking about a ball and socket grip, this one. So if you're not familiar with those grappling grips, here's a Gable grip. All right, notice my thumbs are attached to my index fingers there. It's not this. That's a common mistake. That's a weak grip. The thumbs will come apart first upon an application of strong pressure, whereas with the Gable grip, that's one of the strongest grips the human hands can make. The S grip, also a very, very strong grip. Notice I'm hiding all of the fingers here. Okay? The ball and socket grip there. And then we also have the three-finger grip, popularized by Jean Lebell. And all of these grips have different purposes, different applications. What's the best one? Well, it depends upon the position, depends on what technique you're trying to do. So let's say I get behind you, we're standing up, I get the double underhooks. I want to lift you up and suplex you. What's a good grip for that? Well, the ball and socket grip is an excellent one for that purpose. The Gable grip can also work pretty well. If you're fighting a plus-size person, you might not have the reach to get your arms all the way around him for a Gable grip or a ball and socket grip, so you'll notice the S grip gives you a few extra inches, a little bit more space. So yeah, there's a plus-size grip for you. If you're going for, let's say, a front headlock, you got the head and arm, you got the guy's posture broken, a Gable grip might seem like a pretty solid idea, but then your opponent can peel those fingers off, and you might think, oh, no, small joint manipulation. Well, what the referee can't see can't hurt him, right? That happens all the time. But use an S grip right there, and look, no visible fingertips. He's not going to get to them, and strip those off before you drop them on his face. Okay. How about the three-finger grip? Why would the three-finger grip be better than the Gable grip? Well, you might notice when I start applying pressure this way, the Gable grip comes apart. So if I'm setting up a triangle choke from the bottom in my guard, and I'm using something like a shoulder pin over my leg, I might want to use a three-finger grip, because then when I start twisting this way, or pressure starts being applied that way, my grip stays intact, and now I can move my elbows in ways that I would not be able to move them for the Gable grip. So again, every grip has its own applications. Various techniques work better with various different grips. So, test them out, see what you think. Next question. Our next question comes from our friend Bella, who says, in our gym we always wear shin guards in kickboxing and MMA sparring, which I think is safer, but you can't wear them in competition. This is true. If you prepare a fighter for his or her first kickboxing or MMA fight, do you let them spar without shin guards to prepare them, or to let them condition their shins? Or do you let them train as safely as possible in the gym with shin guards and leave the damage for the fight? Okay, Bella, I would say for the most part leave the damage for the fight. I do fairly often spar without shin guards. However, when I do so, it's always very controlled, very light sparring. You don't want to bang up your shins before a fight. You absolutely don't. That's the worst possible time to do it. Conditioning your shins is not going to be done by shin-on-shin contact so much as heavy bag work. If you kick a heavy bag 100 times a day per leg, and you do that for, let's say, 3 months, maybe a little over 3 months, that's 100 kicks a day per leg for 100 days. Okay. You'll go from one of those people who will just die if you ding your shin on a coffee table to being okay. Now, do that for years, and your shins are going to feel like solid steel compared to the average person. So heavy bag work, volume kicking is absolutely essential for shin conditioning. Some people have done some absolutely crazy, silly things in the name of shin conditioning in order to deaden the nerves on their shins without actually strengthening the bones or increasing the density of the bones in their legs, which is a huge disservice. So, the number one thing for shin conditioning, kick the bag. Do it regularly. Do it a bunch of times. The second most important thing for shin conditioning, exercise. I would especially recommend lift weights. Weight-bearing exercise on your legs that causes your shin to compress to bear that load, such as squats, deadlifts. Man, I feel like every other video I'm telling you guys, do squats and deadlifts. I hope you're listening, because those are good for you. Why is that? Well, you know when they send up astronauts into space to live on the International Space Station, and they generally come back after some time in space with lower bone density. Why is that? Because there's no gravity, there's no resistance, there's none of that crushing force of Earth's gravity. They're living out there in zero gravity. So just to stay alive, to make sure their skeletons don't dissolve, astronauts have to do intense exercise every day, sometimes multiple times a day, in order to, put some pressure on those bones, some pressure on those muscles so they don't lose all their bone density. Now, you live here on Earth. Supposedly, I'm assuming you're not an astronaut, up on the space station sending me this question from above the atmosphere. Anyway, I'm assuming you're an Earthling. So you are subjugated to the atmospheric pressure and the gravity of Earth. Okay, that's good. But if all you do is sit on your butt and eat potato chips all day, your bones will not have the density they would if you just got up and walked around or did something simple. A lot of people ask me what I think of road work and skipping rope for MMA, and if there are better alternatives, and I would say, I don't do road work, not anymore. I used to do a ton of running. I don't anymore simply because my joints can't handle it at this point in my life. It's just too abrasive, too much. Every time you take a step, the knees and the hips just going at it, colliding. Okay, but if you can handle that, why would bouncing up and down, doing road work or skipping help? Why? Because it increases the density of your bones. Okay, so any exercise, great, do that, do plenty of that, but you don't need to do full contact sparring without the shin guards. Once you've had about 10 fights under your belt, amateur, professional, or otherwise, you're going to be in a really good state of psychological preparation for fights, because most of the questions will be answered already. You will know what shin-to-shin contact feels like. And when you're hyped up on adrenaline, like you are in a fight, a professional fight with a crowd and all those incidental stresses you can't train for in the gym, it's a whole different thing than when you are in the gym. Let's say we decide we're going to do full contact sparring in the gym without shin guards, okay? To prepare ourselves for a fight. And you're going at it with your training partner, and you kick, and he checks, and you're going to feel every ounce of that pain because you're not hyped up on adrenaline the same way you are in a fight. In a fight, you can often ignore that stuff. Man, I had this fight, not one I'm particularly proud of, but this fight over in Shandong province, China, and it was a kickboxing match, and I kept throwing leg kicks, and this guy kept checking the leg kicks, and stupidly, I thought to myself, I'm just going to keep throwing leg kicks at him until I win this battle of attrition with no setup or anything, and he just kept checking them. And I didn't feel any pain at all, didn't feel any damage at all because I was high on adrenaline. And then after the fight, my legs were just dying on me. I felt every one of those afterwards, ex post facto. So, yeah, man, there's a lot of value in safe training and then get as much fighting experience as you can in safe, reasonable intervals. And again, that's going to solve most of your problems, answer most of your questions. Next question. Our next question comes from our friend Tony. Tony says, can you please explain why, when people get into an argument and when real fighting starts to occur, why do both people who don't know any boxing or martial arts, they just tend to scrunch and squeeze each other's faces, not doing any damage? Why do people do that? Is that a natural biological response? Yeah, actually it is. There are three things that untrained people tend to do instinctively in the face of danger. Either A, we will try to remove ourselves from the danger, run away when we see something scary. 2, we will tend to try to push the danger away from us. Or 3, an extremely common thing, is we will grab that danger and squeeze it. That's a self-preservation method. Because when we clinch up really tightly with somebody, get our head very close to their head, it's very difficult for them to hit us with any power behind it. It's very difficult to be damaged. Now, one other thing that does offensively is it puts your teeth in a very offensive position to bite, to kill. But instinctively, humans tend not to bite each other, weirdly, like so many other animals do. If you look at other animals when they fight, most animals don't have arms, like humans do. I mean, apes do, monkeys do. But dogs don't, cats don't. Look at a cat and a dog. When they fight, what do? They get their heads up close to that other animal's head. They try to get to the neck. They try to get to the vulnerable soft bits, and they bite. Okay. But yeah, our instincts are not offensive. They're purely defensive. Grabbing the head and squeezing allows us to mitigate damage, for the most part. Unless those instincts come out in, say, the form of a schoolyard bully headlock against someone who knows how to wrestle a little bit, because that's a nice handle to lift us off the ground and slam us on our heads. So don't do that. Yeah, if you plan on being a good fighter, and you find yourself just instinctively grabbing and squeezing a head, and you don't know what that's for or what you're going to do with that, let go. In fact, as far as any grappling grips, anytime you lay hands on another person, make sure you have a plan of what you're going to do with that. I see this a lot with beginners in jiu-jitsu and even some more advanced jiu-jitsu players. They'll grab a collar tie, and they'll just hold on to it, and they'll wait, like they're fishing for something. Let's see what he does. And if you do that to somebody who really understands a collar tie, do that to a good wrestler, they're gonna get you in a Russian 2-on-1, snap you down, and do some horrible things to you. You do that to a good jiu-jitsu guy, whoo, free flying armbar. Thanks for the highlight reel move right there, man. So anytime you lay hands on somebody, make sure you have a plan to move them. How are you going to move them? What are you going to do with that collar tie? You're going to push, you're going to pull, you're going to set something up. Make sure you have a plan. So yeah, that is why people grab and squeeze the head. It is instinct. Again, those three things: run away, push, or grab to mitigate the damage. That's it. Human instincts for fighting suck. human instincts for self-preservation are actually pretty decent. It's when we confuse the two that the problem arises. If you have questions for the next Q&A with the coach, please leave them in the comments down below or email me at ramseydewey@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.